2 years ago, I was just like you, running my own two businesses. I'm a financial planner and financial advisor, licensed in the state of Maryland, and then barred attorney. And I was teaching as an adjunct professor of law and economics at the United States Naval Academy for the past 7 years, just quietly doing my own thing. And then on June 5th, 2020, I received this letter from my public school superintendent in my own county inviting children to march with her and to support Black Lives Matter organization. Many of you here know that I am Ukrainian, Serbian, Jewish Christian, and #1 American. So, I mean, I am a mix of all of these things and all of these nations. And my grandmother was from Odessa, escaped from Buchenwald concentration camp, and the graveyard is right now being bombed from the entire family line. There's no one left. There's no one who survived. As a matter of fact, after World War II, she went to try to find somebody there, and she found her own gravestone. So that should tell you that pogrom was something that should have never happened. Nowadays, we're witnessing something very, very eerie. The issues are more complex than you can think of. In 1999, I was in shelters, just like many Ukrainians are today. I was bombed by NATO and the United States Air Force for 3 months straight. And I can tell you that what I'm seeing on the news happening to Ukrainians is nothing what was going on when I was there. In Serbia, in Yugoslavia, and that was NATO, and that was the United States. And that was a first-scale bombardment 3 months straight. So there's a much deeper, much more serious geopolitical struggle that's been going on. But portion of that struggle is overflowing into our communities and into the schools. And in one word, if I can explain what that is, it's called communism. Communism is in Maryland, and it's marching through your communities, and it's marching through the school system. Everything that Black Lives Matter organization posted on their website is actually accurate. What they're doing and what their mission is reflected in your classrooms today. Destroying family unit, destroying common sense, destroying the country is what Communist Manifesto stands for. 1848, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wrote that small little piece of document that specifically itemizes the proletariat, which is supposed to be called the working class, and the bourgeoisie, which was supposed to be the rich. But that was at the time of the capitalism and industrial revolution all over the place, including the United States. But one of the things that they wanted to do is to divide the globe into those two spheres, where the workers are ultimately going to take over. This was their utopian ideology, meaning the bottom line, what's been going on is abolition of existence of a national identity, country itself, hence the open borders. Everything that's happening to you has been prescribed in the Communist Manifesto. But how many people have read it? Raise your hand if you read Communist Manifesto. 2, 3, 4, 5. Full class. This is German class. Full room and 5 people. The issue is so deeper. The idea that stands behind this communist utopia is abolition of private property. So you can't have private property. Everything is part of this community property. If you go back to the Board of Education and teachers' manuals, something that they're being trained on, like right now, you can find slides that I've seen in many counties, and it's published through the Maryland State Board of Education, that shows individualism on one side and collectivism on another side. My own superintendent doesn't know the difference and cannot tell you Merriam-Webster's dictionary's definition of what collectivism is. When a Board of Education member asked her and challenged her on a live TV presentation during the open board meeting, she said that collectivism doesn't mean what Merriam-Webster dictionary says it does, what Oxford dictionary says collectivism means, but she couldn't tell her own definition. And that is another symptom of what communism does. There are no truths. The truths are only the ones that come from the government or the government elite, which would be the State Board of Education or whoever is the named elite at the time. It puts the United States of America on its head. Everything that this country has been founded on begins and ends with individualism, individual liberties, and individual pursuit of happiness. There is no collective uniformity of mediocrity in this country. Unfortunately, we are now in that stage where every child is supposed to face each other and challenge each other about what is the determination of the future success, and that is being what skin color they are. Or let's divide the children further and let's take a look at their sexual orientation. Maryland State Legislature had issued these kind of publications that specifically depicts sexual explicit material to children, and the only reason it passes and it's in your libraries is because it's in a cartoon and not the real human thing. Why? Because there was a Supreme Court case that said that you can't ban sexual explicit material as part of the First Amendment speech so long as it doesn't take real children into as an actors. Rather, it depicts the children through the cartoons. And you can see here what is being depicted to children in elementary schools and in middle schools. This is not something that Russian children learn, I can tell you that they're not learning this. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And neither Chinese, right? You're Chinese, yeah. They're not learning this. So why are our children exposed to toxic, reprehensible material that doesn't teach them anything? To destroy. So the final mission is to destroy. To destroy community, to destroy family values, to destroy morals of the children, to challenge the existence. So when the family says you can't do that, the children will rebel. There's going to be an argument at your dinner table. And many of you have had these kind of arguments in the previous election. Some of you might have had family members who don't even talk to you anymore because you support a wrong person. But the wrong person being a person who is forcing you to reflect on what made this America great, what made this country so unique, and why until today, over 1 million people want to come and live in this country. So we welcome over 1 million people each year. 55,000 gets pulled out of the hat through visa lottery system that we still play with our citizenship and our legal permanent residency. So it is, we are, everything they tell you are is not true, it's the opposite. They're silencing your voices of opposition. If you dare to speak differently, they will silence you, naming you domestic terrorist. As a matter of fact, if you go to hhs.gov, which is a Homeland Security page, you will find the definition of who you are and me with you today, right now, which is opposing official government views, which would make us anti-government, which would somehow make our speech a domestic terrorist speech. The definitions of untruths and slander are pouring into our communities, and people are being divided. First on the race, now on the gender and sexual orientation. I don't believe this is the way we want to go in the future. So 2 years ago, those who don't know what I've done, I organized my county, and within 3 months on a write-in ballot, because we were way behind the curve, our candidates didn't even make it to the ballot. While other people were throwing the mailing ballots and absentee ballots for the candidates that were already listed, I was trying to run a campaign for candidates that were not on the ballot. We were asking community to write their names on the ballot. And we made history. 2020 was the year where Queen Anne's County became his first county in history of state of Maryland that gained over 12,000 people writing our candidates in and taking down the Board of Education and those who consistently voted to keep the schools shut or to promote division in schools. But one of the problematic things that I found were that those people were Republicans. So I realized that this is the fight not between Democrats and Republicans, but the fight between patriots and those who want to live in communist, socialist, utopian country. We are fighting the forces of evil. They want to cancel you, they want to silence you, and they want to slander you. And they want to get you fired. I was subject of these kind of attacks for the past 2 years. They were trying to file complaints against me to the Bar Association, to Maryland Attorney Grievance Commission. I don't even know these people, who they were. But yet they went behind my back without courage to put their name on the hated mails, hateful emails, threatening stuff. I had over 8 criminal harassment charges against particular people who I don't even know state's attorney was getting involved in this. So living in fear is what they want everyone to be. Everyone needs to live in fear because if you dare to speak up, they'll go after you. So how do we fight it? Well, the old-fashioned way, I guess, by speaking louder, being bolder, and not being scared. I can tell you that from 2 years ago, people would come to the meetings like this, and they would go back and still be scared. Now I see county after county after county. 2 years of me speaking, you've got to fight for your country. You can't let it fall apart. We are witnessing globally scale of elitism on the West and the Russian elitism on the East, and those global oligarchs are fighting amongst each other who's going to have supremacy while the people, normal, ordinary people, are suffering. We're not in Europe, we're here, and we need to take care of our own communities first, which means boils back to what we need to do. Every single county needs to have brave patriots and put their names on every single open position, every single seat, House of Delegates, local county commissioner, county city council, county council, board of education, board of development, board of whatever the board there is in a county. You want to be there. You want to challenge whoever has been there before, especially local board of elections. Election integrity is going to be important. Right now, we're witnessing FBI agents and special counsel finding irregularities in Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, I just saw a text message from Liz Harrington, former President Trump spokesperson, saying that there was a 100% Democrat vote in many senior communities in Wisconsin. They could not verify the signatures. So we need to go back to make sure that if you're going to run for some board, make sure you're at the Board of Elections and you know who is counting the ballots, because we want transparency. So everything we want is nothing radical. We want common sense, we want transparency, and we want communities to go back to people, not to go back to the elitists who are then funneling the money to those who are going to dance the way they play. We just can't lose America. If we lose America, we have nothing. So I'm coming from experience. I came as an economist to America. I became an attorney here. I pledged allegiance to the flag twice. Once when I became U.S. citizen, and once when I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. Both times it was a big deal for me, and it's a serious business for all of us. I'm running with Dan Cox as his lieutenant governor, and I believe our message of restoring freedom should resonate with not just the Republicans, not just the independents, but any freedom-loving American, because it's nothing special, but yet it is. It's our own freedom. Thank you so much for having me. I will open the floor for questions, and I would specifically answer direct questions for those candidates who are running. More importantly, those that are running, please make sure that you have your cards. One of the things that made a difference is that you reach every single voter with a card like this with your 5 key simple points of what you stand for. For an example, for us, it was reopen schools, no CRT, school choice. Here, Dan Cox and I are running on parental rights, no mask or vaccine mandates, another common sense. You can't have a government jabbing you with anything without your permission. You can't be coerced to receive medical experimental treatment, no matter what it is. Even if the treatment would save your life, if you don't want it, you don't want it. And nobody should be entitled or allowed to force a jab or threaten you with your livelihood, i.e. jobs. Yesterday, 2 days ago, 48 hours, it's one big blur, I'm everywhere. I was with the first responders, and it was a full room in Montgomery County. Most of them are facing termination. Those are the people who you call when your house is burning down, and those are the people who ran to save you when COVID was raging, with COVID, without COVID. Those were the people who were first responders and police officers. They're all facing termination because of job or jab, denial of religious exemptions, and so forth. Again, that is not America. You have natural right to receive or reject or refuse to receive treatment, and you got to stay firm in asserting those rights, because if you give it away, it's our own fault.